Hello. So, I didn't read as many books in February as I did in January, sadly, so sadly. But I am back. A week late. Oops, probably gonna be more than a week late. And films on the 8th of March. I should be writing a paper, but I'm tired, so I'm doing something fun, because that's what we have to do, fun stuff. So I read I've only read 5 books in February, which makes me a little bit sad. And I'm hoping to read more books in March, but I honestly don't think I will. But in my defense, some of the books I've been reading, not even. I was gonna say, well, they're longer. Okay, the book I started reading at the end of February, which I'll tell you in March, in my March video, was an 800-page book. So in my defense, that took me like a good 2 weeks with all my schoolwork to do. So technically, I was reading books, it's just I'm reading bigger books. So the first book I read was the second book to the Fable duology, which was Namesake by Andrew Young. I don't know if you remember when I was talking about Fable. I didn't really like it that much from what I remember. It was very boring. Not boring. It was a little boring. It wasn't as intense as I thought it was gonna be. Everyone who was like talking about it was like, oh, it's so good, and then it wasn't. But anyways, we're not talking about Fable, we're talking about Namesake. In my opinion, it was a bit better. I gave it 3.75 stars on Storygraph, because I use Storygraph for my actual rankings and my reviews, because I can just click buttons. I don't have to type anything out, but it's so much easier than Goodreads for me. I do have Goodreads, but I don't use it that much. Anyways, I think it's better than the first book, in my opinion. I thought it was it was more interesting. There's more conflict, you know? There was actual conflict with it, not just Fable kind of running around. That seems mean, it seems very harsh, I'm realizing. But that is it was, first book, Fable's running around just trying to find herself, which is understandable. We all want to find ourselves. I don't know if we ever will, but we all want to find ourselves, and Fable's trying to do that. And I found her life wasn't very interesting in the first book. But the second book, it was more conflict, it was more external conflict rather than internal, from what I remember. I think it was medium-paced. I don't think it was fast-paced at all, but it also was not slow-paced like I said the first book was. Again, there's an actual conflict. There was more of a mysterious element to it as well, like mystery, and I also thought this book was lighthearted and cute. The first thing I told someone when I finished this book was, I think it was a cute book. There's nothing wrong with it, it's just I like more, I'm going to throw the book across the room kind of stuff. Like, oh my god, I need to read the next, or how dare they end it like this. I like that type of stuff. Lighthearted and cute is fun, but to an extent, in my opinion. And then adventurous. It was also very adventurous, because they pretty much what happened was, end of the first book, I'm not gonna tell you, but because spoilers suck. But they're pirates, right? They're all pirates, so they go to different areas on a pirate ship, so that's gonna bring some adventure. Plus, I did say there was conflict, so clearly there was conflict. And it was 368 pages, so it wasn't very long. I think I read it in a couple days, maybe a week at most, depending on my schoolwork load. Keep in mind, I'm doing this all while being in uni, so I do have a lot of schoolwork. Second book, I read this book, I regret reading it, because it was purely for like, oh, I read this book and I was in elementary school, I want to see if it's still good. Don't do that. Don't do it to yourself. You're gonna hate it. I gave it 2 stars. It was called Stonekeeper by, I'm gonna butcher the name, Kazuo Kibushi? It's a graphic novel, and it was only 192 pages. It was a very short book. Number one thing, I read it on Kobo. That probably was part of the reason why I didn't like it, was because graphic novels or manga or any type of thing like this, pictures on a Kobo sucks. There is nothing good about it at all. So that was that. It was middle grade, which I should have realized going into it. Like, you're not gonna like this much. It's not meant for people your age. But it was pretty much about these kids and their mom and dad get into a car crash, and their dad dies, which turns into they move from the town they're supposed to live in because it was too hard for their mom, which is understandable, and they move into this old house that belonged to their mom's father. And there's some like magical elements, and pretty much at the very beginning, I will tell you this because it's not that much spoiler. If you don't want to hear anything, skip, but I don't think you care. The mom gets kidnapped, so the daughter and the son, who are like, by the way, they're probably like 10 and 8, I want to say, have to go on this like big journey to find her with like these robots that the grandpa made, and it's confusing. It was okay. I definitely think if I was younger, I would have loved this, because I remember loving it when I read it the first time. But again, I'm 18. This book's meant for probably an 8-year-old, so I digress. Next book I read was Blood and Honey. Oh, okay. Blood and Honey by Shelley Murren was the first book, or the second book of the Serpent and Dove series by her. And I remember I read that book and I just ate it up and I loved it. I was like, I cannot wait for the second book. The moment it came off my, what's the word? My holds list. As soon as it came into my library, my e-library hands, I was like, I'm gonna read this. So I read it and I was like, okay. It was 3.5 stars. It was slower than the rest. And I say that as kindly as I can. It didn't have the same pizzazz I found the other ones to have. The first one had magical pizzazz. I loved the first one. Honestly, I would read the first one as a standalone. But I'm like that a lot. I find most first books can be standalones. Fight me on that. It's probably a very unpopular opinion. It was medium paced. It wasn't super slow, but it was definitely not fast paced like the first one. Again, if you don't remember from last time, it's fantasy, witches, werewolves, gods, a lot of nonsense. It was a good story. It was just, the middle books are normally slower than the end books. So, that's the thing. There was a major plot twist. I will not lie, I do not remember it right now, but there was a major plot twist. Mostly because I read this in February and it's March and I'm very tired. And also, I immediately read the last book after it, so everything is jumbled. Anyways, it was 544 pages, which, it's a decently long book. Like, I think if it's over 400, no. Over 5, it's long. Under 5, it's short. Above 6 or 7 is like, you're in for a long time, in my opinion. But I'm just me. The last book I read was Gods and Monsters. No, second last book, Gods and Monsters by Shelley Murren. I'm probably saying every name wrong ever. Just don't question it, okay? Okay. 3.5 stars as well. It was adventurous. Oh yeah, by the way, they're all adventurous and fantasy. This series, like adventurous fantasy, a little bit of mystery, but not really. I wouldn't say it's lighthearted at all. I know what the plot twist was. Oh god, I know what the plot twist was. Why is Scott Hart all over again? It was medium price. I thought this one was okay. Like, I think in order it would go first, third, second in order of how much I liked the books. It was 624 pages. I don't remember much apart from the ending was very like, I had to reread some pages because some stuff happened really quickly and I was unsure what exactly happened. Which also could be the fact that I usually read late at night when I'm very tired. So things, again, are jumbled, but it's fine. So yeah, there was those 3 books. I had one more book for February. This is a much shorter video. I'm also going to be talking very fast. I feel like I'm talking very fast, to which I apologize, like always. So Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This is a standalone book. I've read it before. I've loved it and I still love it. I will forever love this book, and I want to read her other books, but they're not on Kobo or e-reader, e-library, whatever app I use to read books from the library of the interwebs. Not the interwebs. It is a library. Her books just aren't on it. So I will read her other books because I heard they're very good. So 4.5 stars. I will explain this book because all the books I'm realizing now I read, minus the graphic novel, I read the other books in January, so I had no reason to actually explain. Anyway, Sorcery of Stones is Sorcery of Thorns is about like, so in this, it's a world, it's a magic world, it's fantasy, and there's there's humans, there's normal people, me, like me and you, right? Normal people, humans, and then we have sorcerers, who usually comes from a line of sorcerers, and the way sorcerers work in this world is they have to, in order to have their magical powers, they have to summon a demon, and then they take an oath with the demon, and then there's a demon mark. Like, one of the main characters, his mark is a white strand of hair, which is the sign of his demon that he's a sorcerer. And people are kind of like wary of sorcerers because sometimes, you know, they are a wee bit dangerous, and because the demons themselves are not normally friendly people, they're just, you know, how it is. And then there's another section of people, I forget exactly what they're called, but they're called, like, they live in the libraries. Some of them turn to wardens, some turn to other things. They're essentially, their whole point is to protect these books and look after these books. And I say protect the books because these books, these specific books, in all these like big libraries around this world are, they're alive. They're alive somehow. They're like spell books almost, but like they're spell books. Like, you know the book in Harry Potter in like the first movie, where when Harry opened it, like a face popped out. It's like kind of like that, I would say, in the most dumbed down way I could probably imagine it. It's like some of them can speak to you, and some of them are more dangerous, and there's different tiers and all this stuff. And it's very good. And I really, really liked the whole world pacing. I think it was very fast paced. It was slower paced for me the second time through because I've already read it, I already knew everything about it, but it was very good. It's adventurous and mysterious. I do have to also point out, I haven't put this for any of the books I've said so far. Almost all of them do have a hint of romance, some more strongly than others. I don't read books for romance very often. I might come a time where a book is very strongly romance, where I will say, or I will read it for that if someone recommends it to me. But normally I focus more on the fantasy and adventure side of things. So yeah, all these stories do have some aspect of romance. I've never read a book, like a YA book, that has zero aspect of romance, because that's just not how it is. Anyways, it's a feel-good book. Like, I say this, I know I just said that Namesake was a very cute book. Sorcery of Thrones was a feel-good book. And I say this because the ending was so good, and I'm so sad we didn't get like a really nice, like, I'm pretty sure there was an epilogue, but like not really like a good epilogue, or she could even made a novella off this one, like a second like standalone book that she was like, here's how it is afterwards, and it was so cute. It was so good. It was like a feel good. I would honestly pick up that book again and read it again right now if I could, because it was so good. And it was 464 pages, so again, it was like getting up there with like length, but it didn't feel like it was 464 pages, if you know what I mean. It was very good. And I will say, this month, March, is a month of long books, because I finished the long book from February, and then I read a short book, which I need to write down in my book. I haven't written down yet. And I'm on to another long one. I think this one I'm reading is also 800 pages at the moment, 800 or 600 pages. So yes, do not expect a long video for March as well, because yes. Also, just don't expect a lot of videos and long videos or lots of books, because it's crunch time in uni. But anyways, I digress. Those are books I read in February, and I hope you guys are also continuing with your reading goals. I've read 18 books so far. I don't know how many of those were from March and how many from February, but I've read 18 books so far this year, and I have 100. I'm on task, it says. I'm on goal. On goal? I don't know. I'm on the thing. So hopefully I'll read 100 books this year. I hope you guys are on your goals. If it's 5 books, 10 books, 20 books, 30 books, 100 books, 1,000 books, whatever your goal is, I hope you get it. Hope you're on track like I am. And tell me what books you're reading. I'm really interested. I want more books. My TBR is forever growing, but I haven't even a book yet this year. So if you leave a comment and tell me what book you're reading, I might read it. Depending if I have time though. But yeah, I'm rambling. I'm a big rambler. I have lots of energy today. Anyways, Bye bye.